All right, let's talk about a huge shift happening in AI right now. We're moving way beyond AI that just answers our questions. We're talking about AI that can actually take action on its own. Now, this leap forward brings up a really critical question, especially for businesses. How much control do we actually need to keep over these systems as they get more and more autonomous? That's the core tension we're going to unpack today.
For a long time, our relationship with AI has been pretty simple. We ask a question, it gives an answer. But that's all changing, and it's changing fast. The real cutting edge of AI today isn't just about providing information. It's about taking initiative. It's evolving from a passive tool that just waits for a command into an active partner that can actually pursue a goal.
So, this leads to a pretty wild thought, right? What if you could just give an AI a big, high level goal? Something like find the top 3 emerging markets for our new product. And it could just figure out all the steps and do it on its own. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's the real idea behind a whole new class of systems that we're calling AI agents. Okay, so what really separates one of these advanced AI agents from, say, a chatbot we're all used to? Well, it all comes down to its ability to make a plan, manage it, and actually get it done. Let's get a really clear definition here. An AI agent is a system that can take a goal, break it down into smaller pieces, and then actually execute those actions to see a project through, all with very little human handholding. This is a fundamental shift. AI goes from being a tool you use to a system that works for you. So at its heart, an agent's process is this constant loop. It takes a big goal, breaks it down, does one small thing, and then, this is the important part, it looks at the result of what it just did and refines its entire plan based on that new information. It's this cycle of doing, learning, and adjusting that lets it handle really complex challenges without needing you to guide it every single step of the way. To really see what this looks like, let's look at our first big example, Auto-GPT. This thing represents one extreme end of the spectrum. It's a design philosophy that is built from the ground up for one thing, maximum autonomy. The whole idea behind Auto-GPT is super direct. You give it an objective, and then you just get out of the way. It is designed, fundamentally, to achieve that end goal with as much freedom and exploratory power as it can possibly have. So what's actually happening under the hood? Well, Auto-GPT basically creates its own to-do list on the fly to reach your goal. It can use tools like searching the web, managing files, even writing its own little bits of code. As it finds new information, it's constantly changing its strategy. Now, this makes it incredibly powerful for open-ended discovery, but it comes with a pretty major trade-off. It can be super expensive in terms of computing power, and for a business, its unpredictable nature can be a huge risk. Now, let's look at the other side of the coin. There's another system called BabyAGI, and it takes a totally different approach, one that puts structure and control way ahead of pure raw autonomy. The design philosophy for BabyAGI is completely different. Instead of just focusing on the final goal at all costs, it prioritizes the process. It's built around creating tasks, prioritizing them, and executing them in a really disciplined way. So it acts less like some rogue explorer and more like a super efficient AI-powered project manager. And you can see this focus on structure and how it works. It creates a task list, it prioritizes that list, and then it works through it, one task at a time, all while keeping careful track of what it's already done. This deliberate design makes it way more predictable and much easier to govern, and that is absolutely critical in any kind of enterprise environment where you have to worry about compliance and rules. So here we are with 2 very different ways to build an AI agent. Let's really break down what this means, because it presents a crucial strategic choice for anyone looking to use this tech. The key thing to understand here isn't about which one has better features. It's about a fundamental difference in philosophy. Auto-GPT is built for speed and just raw, unconstrained exploration. BabyAGI, on the other hand, is built for structure and predictability. This really mirrors a central debate that's happening in AI development right now. How much freedom should these systems really have? And this table just lays it all out perfectly. It's the whole strategic trade-off in one view. With Auto-GPT, you get super high autonomy, but that comes at the price of low control, high cost, and high risk because it's so unpredictable. Now flip over to BabyAGI. You get much more control and predictability, so the risk is way lower, but you give up some of that creative freedom. This is the core decision any leader has to make. How much risk are you willing to accept for that autonomous power? So let's bring this back to the real world. For any organization looking at autonomous AI, what are the actual implications of this balancing act between risk and control? For any business leader, these are the questions you absolutely have to answer. How much unpredictable behavior can your organization really tolerate? Can you guarantee the agent will always stay inside your compliance rules? What's the real budget for not just the computing power, but for the humans who have to monitor it? And maybe the biggest question of all, when an autonomous system makes a choice, who's accountable? These aren't just tech questions anymore. They're core business strategy questions. And that really brings us to the most important insight here. Auto-GPT and BabyAGI, they aren't really competitors in the way we usually think about products. They're more like two early, really important experiments. They're exploring that fundamental question of how autonomous AI should behave and how it should be governed. The way each of them strikes that balance between freedom and safety is going to shape everything that comes next. How we all decide to strike this balance is going to define the future of AI in the business world. It's going to influence regulation and ultimately our trust in these powerful new systems. So the question for all of us is, where do we draw that line between useful autonomy and necessary control? In our next explainer, we're going to look at how real companies are trying to answer that very question. Thanks for joining me.